Hello everybody and welcome back to Dirt Road Nation.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jake.
We are the Dirt Road Men. And I took my glass off screen. Sorry. We're here to tell you why you need to try Japanese whiskey. Or, if you haven't gathered from this series of videos, what makes Japanese whiskey different. Please do not mix Mountain Dew with that. I would rather you grab a more expensive whiskey out of the cabinet than mix it with my good turkey.
I just need a drink so I didn't hiccup again.
Sure. So we put together 4 things that make Japanese whiskey different, that make it worth at least a look. And I thought that, some of the reasons, a portion of these reasons, are external to the whiskey itself. But I promise it is worth your time. And without further ado, let's jump into that.
So number one, the story behind how Japanese whiskey came to be. Masataka Taketsuru.
Masataka Taketsuru. Anyway.
He went to Scotland, studied biology and whiskey making studied biology at a college, and then went and got a job at a distillery learning how to make whiskey.
I would too after studying biology. I hate that shit. Anyway.
Stole one of their women. Went back to Japan.
Good on you, buddy.
Set up his own distillery.
We're not even drinking Japanese whiskey for the Japanese whiskey video. I have multiples. It's just expensive and hard to find, alright?
He helped set up, he founded Suntory. He helped set up Nikka and then founded his own. Right?
He founded Suntory. Nikka's the other one.
Yeah.
He left Suntory and founded Nikka so he could do what he wanted to do because Suntory wasn't letting him do what he wanted to do.
So he got Suntory started and then went and founded his own.
So in other words, Masataka Taketsuru founded what became the largest, or at least one of the largest, whiskey conglomerates in the world.
Yeah.
And now the company he founded probably owns the company he worked at, if it still exists. So I don't know. I haven't done the research. Don't take that as gospel or nothing. But the point is, they own multiple Scotch companies, including my favorite one.
Yeah.
So.
That's written down in a different notebook than I have with me today. So.
I probably should have asked you that before I brought that up. But you did a nice job remembering all the important stuff.
Yeah.
Including the Asian man got himself a good Scottish woman. That's probably the most important part of that story, to be honest. I really should mind my mouth a little bit. Anyway. I don't know if my lady's Scottish or not, but whatever.
Well, you're not Japanese. So.
Could you not, sir?
I cannot not. Not.
My puppy is snoring. That is a 4-month-old puppy you hear snoring, not a man cutting down a tree. Anyway, another thing that is interesting about this, because the Japanese are very good about taking things that seem mundane, like tea, although one might lean towards the Chinese with that one, and turning it into its own art form. Now, I would say a lot of whiskey companies view it as an art form.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Japanese landscape and history is very beautiful and rich and hot, depending on the time frame. And if you thought we were going to get through a video about Japanese whiskey without making a nuke joke, you were dead wrong. But not as dead wrong as they were about fucking with us. Anyway, there is a stream of water used at the Hakushu distillery. I believe it's the Hakushu distillery. It might be the Yamazaki. They're made by the same fucking company, so get off my dick.
I thought they made motorcycles.
That the water straight from that stream tests as healthier drinking water than average American tap water, which is pretty impressive. especially given that I often drink average American tap water. Okay, so the camera cut off, but I think I pretty much said what I need to say about number 2, which was the location that the whiskey is aged and made can affect a lot about it, and is going to have a direct impact on how good the whiskey is. You may notice that magically a bottle appeared here. We're not drinking it because I'm not opening it for you scrubs. Anyway, I will insult everyone, myself and you included. I think I outed that my wife left me on one of these videos by saying that it may not matter your length, girth, or how you use it. She might just leave you anyway, so... Don't feel bad that I called you a scrub. If you pay attention to our videos, I will get to you, eventually.
And speaking of self-burns, which are rare...
That is the weakest transition I've ever seen.
Number 3, the rarity. The explosion in popularity has made Japanese whiskey kind of like, it's hard to find. That's right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for not reading it exactly, because that would not be the words you would use.
A lot of it got blown up.
Yeah, that's true.
No, there's... if you're watching this, you know that in the last like 5 or 10 years, there's been like a giant whiskey boom, and so something like this Suntory here, Hakushu.
Yeah, there you go. Hakushu 12, age statement Japanese whiskey.
It's like impossible to find. I think he probably had to smuggle it, something like blood diamonds from Africa.
That is the 3rd bottle I've ever seen, and the 2nd bottle I ever saw was on the same day that I got that one.
Oh.
So, one was upstairs and one was downstairs in the same building.
So, if you get the opportunity to purchase or to try it, like say somebody's like, hey, you should try this, do it. You might not get a chance again.
Yeah, do it and take, at least for a considerable time, you might not get the chance because they've got to, spend another 12 years aging this stuff. Do it and take your time, notice the nuances, and savor it, because it's like having another region of Scotch that is different in all of its details and the way it is attentive to its details, like the details it's attentive to. They don't do smoky whiskey in Japan because the first whiskey they launched in Suntory with Masataka was a smoky whiskey, and Japan was like, we've had enough smoke, thank you. Actually, that was in the 30s, so they didn't have any of the smoke yet. But they decided they wanted the smoke once in history, and then they realized they did not want the smoke anymore. So, that brings me to point 4. And this, I think, is the most interesting thing besides the story about Japanese whiskey. And that is that they do not go for consistency between bottles. They are not going to try to make sure that every bottle of Hakushu 12 tastes the same. What they go for is making the best out of every batch that they make. They want that batch, even if it is different from the other batches, to be the very best it could be, and then that will go into that bottle. And that means you can get variations even within the same whiskey. I didn't know this, and I haven't cracked my 2nd bottle yet until I started to go to make this video. May be a bit different and new. That also makes it worth trying repeatedly. So.
I agree with all of those points. Very fine points.
You're still stuck in all the bomb jokes, aren't you? Yeah. We made it like halfway
Japanese
through the video.
whiskey is the bomb.
Ha! We made it like halfway through the video before we made any jokes, and then the camera cut off, and we were like, you know what?
Fuck it.
Fuck it. So, we hope we've made a decent case for why you should try Japanese whiskey, and that you will honestly take a look and give it the chance. be careful of the cheaper ones. Japanese whiskey tends to run expensive, and I have heard people give really, really bad reviews of some of the cheaper ones that I honestly have not even tried because of that. I think the cheapest whiskey I have from Japan is Nika Whiskey from the Hood. I mean barrel. I leaned a little heavy into that joke. And it was like $75. It is, however, my favorite Japanese whiskey I've had up to this point. So that is worth noting.
It's probably gone now. Our first Japanese whiskey review was Suntory Toki.
Yep, it is gone now.
Oh, so never mind. Don't
And
look
look,
at that.
we get to review that one again. That was the cheapest one we've tried, and that was actually pretty good too. However, I'd be interested to try it again, and we are going to review it again since it's gone and it's cheap, so we're going to do that. Now that our palates are more open and refined.
Yeah.
So we have tried stuff from our early days that we enjoyed that we were like, Anyway, I think that's all I have for this video.
Okay. Same.
Till we see you again, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jake.
And we are the Dirt Roadman.
Yeah, I'm glad that went in my mouth.
Hey everybody, if you like this video, hit a like or dislike, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you really like what we're doing, check us out over on Facebook where we post every day.